This is Austin Real Estate Investing.
Austin Real Estate Investing.
We'll be discussing real estate investing in Austin, Texas, and bringing you experts from all different sectors of the real estate game. Your host, Jordan Moorhead, is a real estate agent and investor in Austin and is here to help you get started or to build your portfolio and explore new strategies.
This is Jordan Moorhead with the Austin Real Estate Investing Podcast. Today we have a special guest, a different guest for us, Jamie Hammonds, with documenting Austin's streets and homeless is on to tell us all about what he's working on and how we can even help. Hey, Jamie, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, Jordan?
Good to see you again. I like following all your progress and seeing what you're up to, and I know you're up to some cool stuff you're going to tell us about here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
So for people who aren't aware of what you're up to, can you tell people what documenting Austin's streets and homeless is and what you do?
Yeah, so it's kind of changed a little bit throughout the last year. We started out basically just making videos of public safety failures, the homeless issue here in Austin. But within the last few months, we've started changing and going more towards services side. We're still making content, making videos, but at the same time, excuse me, we are actually in the camps with the homeless folks. We're getting them signed up for services, getting them in the pipeline, because it is a lengthy process once you get your name in the hopper, so to speak. And not only that, but we are actually planning a series of cleanups through the city. I think right now we're looking at doing 6 initially, picking sites. We're looking at mainly doing public sites, so parks or green belts, where these abandoned, and I want to, it is going to be abandoned camps. We're not looking at doing anything where there's people living. But we're going to go in with a group of volunteers and clean these things out and get these public spaces open back up for the public. So that's pretty much what we're focused on at the moment. Yeah.
That's awesome. It really makes a huge impact to clean up areas that are dirty. So Jamie, how'd you get into this? What drew you to being interested in, documenting Austin streets and homeless?
Well, I would say about 10, 11 years ago, I actually kind of found myself somewhat homeless here in Austin. I'd went through a divorce, and that's a tough time for anybody, especially, when you're young, and moved down here to Austin and found myself kind of living in my car. And then at the church right over by the Capitol. So I have some experience with being homeless. I have a lot of compassion for these folks. I know kind of what they're dealing with. And last year, I was working down off 183 in Breaker, and I saw a group of kids kind of in a wooded area, and you could see the homeless camp. I mean, it was an abandoned camp, and they were sure enough, just playing in it, picking things up and, as kids will do. And I went on about my day, and not long after I'd stopped back by, there was nobody in that camp. And I just happened to walk in there to see, what it was about. Found, liquor bottles and needles and, all manner of junk that these kids were playing in. And so I got my phone out, took some video of it and put it on the internet, and it just kind of blew up overnight. Next thing you know, I was on Fox News and, the Fox News National and the news stations around here in Austin. And I got to thinking, you can't see these places. They're off the beaten path, so to speak. They're in the woods. You can't see them. And I kind of wanted to know what it was about. So I started hiking the green belts and hiking the wooded areas. And man, would you know it, there's so much out there that people don't know about. And it's shocking once you see it, and people have no clue it's there. Mm-hmm. Since I've been doing this, especially on Twitter, people reach out to me all the time. They're in their neighborhoods. They have a green belt around their neighborhood, and they ask me if I could take them into the green belt and show them. And some of these people are, living 100 yards away from these massive camps, especially the abandoned ones. They just have no clue they're there. But it's the problem is only growing at this point. So it's really important that, we try to, push our council members into making some changes and addressing this issue in a better way.
Yeah. And you know what? I just see all these people out there and I feel so bad for them every day. Like, days like today and yesterday where it's kind of cold and kind of
Yeah.
rainy. And you see these people out there wrapped up trying to stay warm. And you're just thinking, man, there's got to be a better way.
The problem is the city takes a lot of federal dollars. And the federal government pretty much mandates that the city use this housing first approach in order to get this money. And so their hands are kind of tied in that they have to use the housing first, and that model's not working. Basically, the housing first model, to sum it up, is they will take and put people into housing services, whether it be for mental health or addiction or alcohol. That is, if the person wants it, then they can accept it. But there's nothing saying they have to, accept these services if they have the issue. So these people are coming into housing, and within a week, they're back out on the street. Addiction's a very tough issue, and they're right back on the street where they're doing drugs, drinking, whatever it is that their hang up is. So
That's rough.
it's a big problem.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was just a completely optional thing. You'd think it would be more like, hey, if you want to live here, you need to do these things too, and then we'll evaluate you. And if you don't need them, great, you don't have to do it. But
that's kind of what we are pushing for. And again, the city is honestly their hands are kind of tied in that because of the rules that the federal government puts on them. But it's obvious. I mean, we've been going down this same path for years now. And the problem is just getting worse progressively. We're about to get the point in time count. We're about to get the numbers from Echo. They just did the point in time count. It's a month and a half to 2 months ago now. And estimated right now, and these numbers are very low, about 4,500 unhoused or unsheltered homeless folks in the city, and about 1,000 sheltered homeless folks. And that's a low number. That's kind of spitballing it. But we're thinking that the numbers are closer, anywhere between 7,000 and 8,000 unsheltered homeless folks in the city.
is there enough housing for unhoused folks in the city?
Hey guys, this is Jordan Moorhead here, and I wanted to ask if you could do a huge favor for me. If you could go leave a review for this podcast wherever you're listening to it, that would really help me get this into the hands of other people that are interested in information about Austin real estate investing, and I'd be able to help more people. Thanks, guys.
No.
No.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, it really depends on who you ask. I'm not an expert in that by any means. But the problem is even if there was enough housing, let's say there was a whole half a city worth of houses that you could, give to these homeless folks, it still wouldn't work because, again, there is a reason that they're homeless in the first place. Like I said, whether it be mental health, addiction, and, even money management issues, if you're having trouble managing your money. But if you're not addressing the reason that they're homeless in the first place, giving someone a home, especially an addict, a home with a monthly check, you're basically, you're going to speed up their demise. And, that's a prescription for failure for sure. So you got to address the reason that these folks are homeless in the first place. If you don't do that, which they're not at this point, I just don't see how it's going to be successful. Like I said, even if there were enough housing.
Sounds like it could possibly make it worse too.
I think it would. I don't know how much experience you have with folks that are in active addiction, but especially with fentanyl, the way it's coming across the border and it's in the city so much, and it's very deadly. If you give a person a way to really use those drugs, and like I said, a check every month, it's going to speed up. ODs are going to go through the roof, I'm afraid. And that's just going to compound the problem.
Yeah, that's not good. So,
no.
Is there a solution, and what do you think it is?
So I get asked that a lot, and as long as there's people, there's going to be homelessness. It's just, I mean, that's just a fact. So, but the problem is that you can curb the amount of homelessness like I said, if you give people services, that when somebody is in active addiction, they may decide, okay, I want help. Okay, you've got a very short window of time once that person decides that they want help to actually get them the help. If they reach out to you and say, I want help, you've got to get them into the system and into a bed to get them help right then. Once that window closes, it's over. And, even if you give somebody a home or a roof over their head, if there's not services involved, it's not going to be successful. So in order to start curbing this issue, services are going to have to be mandatory. Like you were saying, if you want this housing, if you want a roof over your head, you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z and start working on yourself as well. There's some folks in this business right now that they think that the person would have to prove that they want the housing. They're going to have to get they can go to a shelter, start working on themselves, get themselves cleaned up, work on therapy, work on money management, and then you can move into housing and have better tools in your pocket to be successful, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the only ways to really address the issue.
So like, hey, you want help, you go here. So I mean, but my head goes to, what if somebody doesn't want help? Is it just, do we have to make it illegal to be camping on the street? And if you can't, then you have to go face the consequences for doing what you were doing, and maybe you get help then?
You would almost have to. I talk to a lot of homeless people. We are in the camps daily. We're working with these people daily, and there are a lot of these folks out there. They're right where they want to be. They like and I ask them all the time, what is it about this life that you enjoy? Why do you want this? And it's freedom. They don't have any bills. They don't have any responsibilities. They can do what they want, and they're where they want to be. So the question is, what do you do with that person? It's not fair for, let's say, you as a taxpayer, you have a homeless camp in your backyard, basically, and then the city's coming out and giving you code violations because you're not picking up your trash. But they come out and offer that homeless person, housing, and he refuses. So you would almost have, the camping ban is in place, I think, for just that sort of issue. But the problem is it's not being enforced. You can go, the crime reports for the city are very public. You can go onto the City of Austin's website and search it. One area of the city where Bolden Creek is at, there wasn't one camping violation ticket issued in all of 2022, not one. And that is a big area, the Bolden Creek Greenbelt. That's a massive area for homelessness. And, that leads into the other issue where the city is spending, the last time they cleaned that greenbelt, they spent over $100,000 cleaning that greenbelt. And within 2 weeks of them, they came in, offered the people shelter, got them out of there, went in with the contractors and the crews, got it all cleaned up. This was a month and a half, almost 2 months ago now. And today, as we sit here, it is worse today than it was 2 months ago. So, I don't know what the answer is to that. It would almost, the city would almost need a homeless police, so to speak, to enforce these issues around the city. And, the city's already having enough trouble, staffing police officers as it is. So this is just an issue that's just completely out of control. They're spending a ton of money and they have no results to show for it, basically. So, yeah.
So I don't know how much you know about this, because we really haven't touched on this and we didn't talk about this before, but there's the mobile loaves and fishes.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be really successful.
Yeah, the mobile loaves and fishes, they help. I don't know a whole lot about those folks. I see them, I talk to them, but I don't know a whole lot about what they actually do or how they operate. I know that they provide food and meals when people are in need of food, so they're doing a great thing. And I know the city is talking about utilizing them a little bit more in this homelessness issue, maybe trying to get people off the streets a little more, especially after the Salvation Army, the main shelter in Austin, downtown Austin, closed. or is closing. So like I said, I don't know a whole lot about their operations. I'd like to look into them a little bit more and see what they have to offer. But I do know that they do, they do the city a good service for sure.
Yeah, they've got nothing but a good reputation. I just hear great things about them. And it seems like they really have a good thing going where people go there and start to contribute to that society and, get in a good way.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think you probably have more experience with this than myself, but I remember in was it 21 we voted for that homeless camping ban to be reinstated as a city, and it was like 66-67% voted for that. Why is that not being enforced?
Have you wanted to be part of GoBundance, the tribe of millionaires, but just haven't hit that millionaire status yet? Well, now you can, not even being a millionaire, by joining our new program, GoBundance Emerge. My name's Jamie Gruber, creator of GoBundance Emerge and member of the GoBundance community. And now you can join. GoBundance.com/emerge. GoBundance.com/emerge. Use code Jordan for $100 off this 12-week goal-setting program and mastermind that'll propel you to being a whole life millionaire.
Well, so we have some council members that think, so here's the thing. We just come out of winter. Obviously winter is a tough time for the homeless folks. I know we have a better winter than most places in the country, but it does get extremely cold on occasion. And what they end up doing is there's some ordinances in place that when there's going to be cold weather, severe weather outside, they kind of curb the use of the camping ban just to keep people safe. Now, I know that's kind of counterproductive. You want to, keeping people on the streets, but I think the thinking behind that is when, if you go out and talk to these folks, they're pretty crafty. They are very handy when it comes to making do with what they have, especially down like in the Williamson Creek Greenbelt. They have generators where they've dug into the ground, a good 4 or 5 feet. They put the generator underground, run a dryer vent out of it so that the generator can have air. Generators are loud, and that's why they do it. And then they bury them. They have heaters in their tents. They have, they keep themselves very warm that way. And I think that's why the city has that in place to where, if there's going to be inclement weather, then they stop the use of the camping ban. Now, obviously right now outside, we don't have that kind of weather going on. Why it's not being enforced? Your guess on that one is as good as mine. We have a new mayor, and I have pretty good hopes for him. I'm going to keep an open mind at the moment. He's still very new, and he has had some controversies already that he's been dealing with. So I'm kind of keeping hope out that he's going to turn it around and actually start enforcing that. I guess a lot of it could also have to do with the staffing levels of the police department. There's so many other things going on. They just do not have time to deal with a camping ban. So there's really not a good answer to that question. I'm not 100% certain.
And I think that people, not everybody knows how the city of Austin government runs too. And I think it's easy to blame the mayor, but the mayor's essentially just a stronger council member,
just another vote,
a figurehead,
Right.
So it's easy to blame the mayor, but I'm right there with you. I think he's a good guy. From the little bit I know about him, it seems like he's trying to do good. So I'm absolutely going to give him the benefit of the doubt too, and I'm excited to see what he's able to do.
Yeah, he's had, between the ice storm and he's had a lot he's been dealing with here since he's been mayor, and the homeless strategy office, they are starting to work. I know they're starting to work with my company a bit more, which is something that wasn't done before. And I'm not 100% sure why that is. I don't know if it's because there is a new mayor and new council in, but I have hopes that things are going to turn around. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt at the moment. I know a lot of people here in Austin, especially if you're on Twitter, you wouldn't get that idea. But I really do have hope that things are going to change. Yeah,
me too. I think I'm just an optimistic person in general.
Yeah.
So, I'd like to move on to what do you think can be done and how can people help?
So, right now, like I said earlier, we have a series of cleanups coming up. the big thing that we're going to need is volunteers to help come out and clean. Now, the way it's looking, and this is not set in stone, but the way it's looking is we're going to partner up with Keep Austin Beautiful. We're going to have training for volunteers, what to do and not to do in these camps, because it can be a little dangerous in these camps if there's needles and things. So we're going to have really strict rules for volunteers. We want to keep everybody safe, but volunteers for that is going to be big. You can find me on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, my handle is at documentingatx. That's on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Or you can go to my website, which is -atx.org. And my contact information is in there as well. So reach out to me. I'm going to be adding a page to that for volunteers when we get this when we get everything finalized and we know the dates and we know exactly what we're going to be doing. I'm going to add a link there. But that is a big thing that folks can do to help my company specifically. We do have a donate button on the website that is, donations are always welcome. And on YouTube, if you could go out and subscribe to my YouTube channel, all the ad revenue from my YouTube channel goes straight back into helping these homeless folks. And my YouTube channel is at Documenting Austin. So that's another big way to help for sure.
Awesome. And we'll put all that in the show notes for everybody too, so you can just click on those links and get straight to that. But yeah, that's super. That's really cool with the site cleanup. Yeah. So you're just going to be going in abandoned homeless camps. You said they are abandoned. There's no people living there, and just cleaning them up.
So the way, and again, I'm talking with the city and working things out with the city right now. And I think what we're going to be doing is, like I said, these abandoned camps. We're not going to be kicking anybody out of their tents or out of their camp. That's not what we're here for. And we definitely, I don't, definitely don't want to do that with anybody. So yeah, definitely the abandoned camps, especially in the green belts, the parks. We were looking at private property, and we're still open to that idea. But if we do cleanups on a private property, the city cannot have anything to do with it. But we're still looking at doing some of those, especially some of the larger camps that are on the private property. These folks, I mean, it's very expensive to clean these. So we're looking at maybe helping the citizens, and if they get into a bind like that. But the way things are looking now, when the city goes in and cleans a camp out, they take care of the large tents, the big bulk items that are very hard to get out of there, that you would need machinery. And then if you've watched any of my past content, I'm always griping about they leave these camps. They say they clean them, but they leave. There's a lot of just trash and debris left over. So I think we're going to be going in behind them and actually finalizing the cleanup, so to speak, getting all the leftovers, the little bits and things. And that's one thing that I'm talking with the city about now. That's really important because, like I said, they leave a lot of stuff behind, and it's because they don't have a lot of resources. They don't have a lot of people, and it would take quite a few people to clean up that, the little chunks and the little pieces that are left behind. So that's one thing that we're looking at. The other thing is, like I was saying, on the green belts themselves, actually taking a group of volunteers into the green belts and trying to get as much of that trash out of there and try to get these open back up for the public. I think that's important. Our green spaces are important. Austin's known for it. And it's funny, but groups like Save Our Springs and all of these environmental groups, I reach out to them all the time, and they just ignore it. And it blows my mind that happens, but it's true. So, we're going to try our best to do what we can to help for sure.
That's awesome. No, it's so cool that you're doing this from the lens of, hey, these people need help. I'm here to help them. And I also want to help the city and the environment at the same time.
Well, I think there's an opportunity. Things are so divided politically right now, and we try to stay out of the politics completely. It's such a divisive issue. And if we're going to tackle this issue, and we're going to actually help people, and we're going to help the environment, and we're going to help the citizens of Austin, we're going to need the left, the right, and the center, and everybody to come together on this issue. It shouldn't be a very political issue, so to speak. I mean, we all want what's best for people. Nobody wants to see somebody sleeping on the concrete that doesn't want to be there. So we try to stay away from politics as much as possible, and I think that's important. We need everybody together for sure, and we're trying to bring more people together. And if you look on my Twitter, it's actually kind of funny because I have a lot of left, right, and center people on there, and we all pretty much get along, so it's great.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I like what you said there because we all live here. Why are we not all banding together to make it better for everybody, not just one person or the other?
It's a human issue, not a political issue, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody wants to see a human suffering. You're going to reach it, and that brings me to a point that I was going to make earlier.
Jordan Moorhead here. Really quickly, wanted to tell you a couple other ways you can keep track of us. If you want to listen to all these podcasts and ask questions, the Moorhead team on YouTube is the best place to be. And then Austin Real Estate Investors on Meetup is a great place to keep track of all of our meetups we have going on.
A lot of these homeless folks, they are there because they want to be there. But there are some that do not want to be there, but they get into this hole. Once you're on the street, it's very hard to get out of that. And sometimes it just takes somebody reaching down and giving a hand and helping that person. And, it's hard to do. Not everybody has the resources to be able to do that. But there's a lot of great organizations in the city that do have that the resources. But the problem is they're not in the camps. They're not on the street. These homeless folks have to find a way to not only find out how to get their name into the pipeline, but they have to make their way to that office or make their way onto the internet. And that's where we come in. We're actually in the camps, and, we obviously have devices, phones or tablets, and we go into the camps, and the people that do want help, we help them get signed up right then and there, instead of, making them try to take a bus into downtown where these organizations are. So it's really important. I think what we're doing is making a difference. Like I said, it blows my mind that my little group is where it's at today, considering how it started pretty much by accident last year. But yeah, we're getting along, and I think we're making a difference. So it's pretty important.
That's really cool. Yeah. I think, it's easy to say, somebody else will take care of it, or the government will take care of it. But
yeah,
like you said, they don't always have the resources or the ability to do that.
They don't. These organizations, they're big. I did an interview on KXAN a month ago or so, and I forget the guy's name, but they were interviewing him. He was the head of one of these groups here in Austin, and he was saying that they don't have the boots on the ground, so to speak. And, that's kind of, like I said, where we come in. We are there. We are on the ground. And, I have documented since, August of last year, I've documented over 168 camps in the city. That's a lot of camps. And, they change and they move and they morph, kind of like the tides, from week to week and day to day, they're always moving. I may see a guy that's on the south side of Austin this week, and then next week he'll be in a camp on the north side of Austin. They move. It's very interesting how they do it. And the funny thing is there's a grapevine in the homeless community. They communicate very quickly. If the Hill Initiative is cleaning a camp on the south side of Austin, the word spreads so fast on, through the community that these homeless folks, they're boxing up and moving out, and they're moving across the street, or they're moving to another camp very quickly because they're afraid they're going to lose their stuff. So very interesting how it works, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Necessity is a funny thing.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Well, Jamie, I really appreciate everything you're doing. I want to make sure that we get the most important question we always ask here on the podcast answered to here today. Could you tell our listeners what your favorite restaurant in Austin is?
My favorite restaurant, let's see here.
I know you get around all over.
There's a Kobe Steakhouse down on 183. It's a Japanese steakhouse. Hands down, their split fried rice bowl with steak and chicken's it's the greatest thing. That is absolutely my favorite restaurant for sure. That and their stuffed avocado is pretty good too.
Do you remember where it is, or the name possibly?
Yeah, it's Kobe Japanese steakhouse right on 183. I think it's just so there's a half price books there. I think it's Anderson Mill and 183. It's in that shopping center right there. There's an aquarium, I think. I'm not sure if that's an aquarium, but there is a half price books right there. It's on the corner of Anderson Mill and 183. You got to try that place. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm headed that way today, so maybe we'll eat dinner there.
Not going to be disappointed, I'm telling you.
Awesome. Well, Jamie, again, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you so much for everything you're doing for the people here in Austin, housed and unhoused at the same time. Yes, sir. I can't wait to hear what you're doing with these cleanups, and I absolutely want to partake in at least one.
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, I'm going to get it posted on Twitter and our website, and hopefully we'll have something to announce that's more firm next week and a half, maybe 2 weeks out. So we're getting real close.
That's awesome. Well, we'll try to time this episode coming out too with that, just so more people can be aware.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan.
All right. Thanks, Jamie. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.